Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you've been keeping an eye on tech news, well, the pace lately, it doesn't just feel fast, it feels like a runaway crane, doesn't it? Trying to
Mm.
piece together every announcement, every big strategic play, those, staggering valuations. It's practically a full-time job.
Huh.
So our mission today, pretty simple, really. We've gone through the dense Retter Reboot 31 OCT News Digest for you, and we're pulling out the key knowledge nuggets you actually need. Think of it as your essential shortcut, really understanding where this industry is pointing right now, basically the playbook for the next few months.
Yeah, and looking across all this information, the biggest thing jumping out isn't just, AI getting smarter. It's that AI is fundamentally moving
Yeah.
deeper into the foundation layer of everything. It's not just a cool feature anymore, not a novelty. It's becoming core infrastructure.
Yeah.
Mandatory almost. And it's shaping global finance, creative design, definitely hardware manufacturing, and maybe most importantly, the job market itself.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that. And I think we have to start with the sheer scale of ambition we're seeing. Because the financial headlines, especially around OpenAI this week, they're not just shocking. They're kind of rewriting the rule book for the market. We're talking, of course, about that report, OpenAI preparing for an IPO, potentially valuing the company at up to, what, $1 trillion?
A trillion, you really have to pause and absorb that number. I mean, contextualize that scale. Sources are hinting they could list as early as next year. And if that valuation holds, you're looking at a public offering that could just dwarf almost every major tech listing before it. Think Apple, Microsoft in their early days, but maybe bigger. This isn't just about OpenAI getting rich. It's the market basically saying AI is the single most valuable tech on the planet. And OpenAI is, well, its current champion.
Okay, but let's step back for a second. We hear these huge valuation numbers thrown around all the time, right? What's the single biggest risk here? What's the hurdle, maybe regulatory, maybe something else that could pop that $1 trillion bubble?
I think the biggest risk really comes down to governance and control. A valuation like that, it invites intense scrutiny, not just regulators worried about, market dominance, but also investors demanding a very clear path to actual profit. Right now, so much of that value is tied up in future potential in that huge Microsoft partnership. So any hint that their core tech is becoming, say, commoditized, or maybe a regulator steps in and questions those strategic partnerships, that throws the whole valuation into doubt. It's a massive bet, really, based on this perception of inevitability.
Speaking of inevitability, this is where it gets really interesting operationally speaking, the PayPal partnership. I mean, it's one thing to generate text, right? But now, integrating payments directly into ChatGPT. So you can shop, send money, finish transactions, all without leaving the chat window.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how big a step this is towards what people are calling agentic commerce. We're not just talking about linking out to a shopping site anymore. This is the AI itself managing the whole transaction, from finding the thing you want right through to the payment authorization.
Yeah.
It basically turns ChatGPT into a transactional platform. It could bypass traditional e-commerce flows, maybe even some mobile payment systems.
Wow. So the real battle isn't just about who has the smartest chatbot. It's about who controls the transaction layer. They're fighting to be the OS for your money, essentially.
Precisely. And their expansion isn't just financial, it's creative too.
Yeah.
OpenAI is making a really serious play in AI music generation now. They're building a model that can create music from text prompts, sure, but also from audio prompts. You describe the style, the mood, the instruments,
Yep.
and it generates potentially professional sounding compositions.
Right, they already stunned everyone with Sora for video. Is this music model just playing catch up with, the dedicated music AI tools already out there?
Well, they definitely have competition. Tools like Suno, Udio, they're specialists. But the real threat, I think, is the integration potential.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal seems to be owning the entire creative suite. Imagine asking an agent, hey, make me a quick 30-second video, someone walking on a beach, maybe add a moody, 80s synth track. If OpenAI owns the video generation, Sora, and the music generation, they offer this seamless end-to-end creative pipeline. Nobody else can really match that right now. They're aiming to be the go-to hub for multimedia creation.
Okay, so the competition for that software brain is clearly heating up. But OpenAI isn't alone in posting huge numbers. We really need to shift focus to the rivals, because while OpenAI talks trillions in value, Google's winning on sheer users. Google's Gemini app, Officially passed 650 million users globally. That's massive.
It's an incredible number, yeah.
Yeah.
And the speed of that growth is really the key thing. It didn't just happen overnight or in isolation. Gemini is already like deeply woven into Android, into Chrome, into Workspace. The integration is almost passive. It's just everywhere Google already is.
So what's driving that growth now? I mean, everyone seems to have a large language model these days.
I think they're focusing hard on ubiquity, yes, but also utility. It's not just about slightly better text answers anymore. Google's pushing big expansions, think advanced image generation, better voice tools, and crucially, more of that agentic task automation we talked about. Plus, they're using that enormous 650 million user base to get just unparalleled real-world usage data, which of course feeds right back into making Gemini smarter and faster. It's a really powerful feedback loop.
Right. And that platform competition is fierce in the design space too, isn't it? Canva seems to be directly challenging the old guard. They launched their first proprietary design model and boosting AI features for more pro-level stuff.
Oh, absolutely. This is a direct strategic shot at that lucrative mid-tier professional market. The space Adobe has, historically dominated. Canva isn't just adding fun filters here. We're talking complex tools, things like automated layout suggestions, really robust checks for brand consistency, professional-grade image tweaking. The goal: make high-end design accessible. Make it efficient for that huge group of people, small business owners, marketers, social media folks who need design but aren't full-time graphic designers. It's kind of democratizing creativity. And yeah, that's a massive headache for Adobe.
And speaking of big shifts, the productivity software world saw a major rebrand this week. One that tells us a lot about where office tools are heading. Grammarly, the grammar checker everyone's used for ages is rebranding as Superhuman.
Yeah, that's way more than just a name change. It's a huge statement of intent.
Yeah.
They're explicitly saying, we're moving beyond just fixing your grammar. They want to be a much broader AI productivity platform.
That sounds like a massive gamble, though. Has any company really pulled off such a dramatic pivot in, core function and branding? Isn't there a big risk of alienating all those users who just wanted a good spell checker?
The risk is definitely real, yeah. But the potential reward must seem much greater to them. They seem to be aiming to become this single layer, this cognitive layer that sits on top of your whole communication stack.
Yeah.
Email, Slack, Calendar, Docs. The new AI assistant they're launching with Superhuman. It's designed to manage your writing, sure, but also optimize communication flow, handle complex scheduling across different apps simultaneously. That puts them in direct competition, not just with other writing tools, but with giants like Microsoft 365, who also want to be the default OS for your work life.
That's a huge theme, isn't it? Running through all these stories, controlling that core layer, whether it's transactions or communication. But, okay, none of the software magic happens without the specialized hardware underneath it all. Which brings us nicely to the chip wars. Qualcomm's making a serious move here, right? They just introduced their AI 200 and AI 250 processors. This looks like a clear shot at competing directly with NVIDIA and AMD in that fundamental AI hardware race.
It really does, and this signals a pretty significant strategic pivot for them, I think, towards enabling generative AI on the device, edge computing. So while NVIDIA totally dominates the huge data centers, Qualcomm is focusing on high-efficiency, low-power consumption for mobile, for cars, for enterprise edge devices.
Okay, unpack that a bit. Why does moving AI from the cloud onto the device matter so much? What's the big advantage?
Well, it solves a couple of critical problems. Latency, for one, and privacy. Think about real-time stuff like autonomous driving. You just can't afford the delay of sending data up to the cloud and waiting for an instruction. The decision has to be instant, right there on the device. And businesses, they want to use generative AI on sensitive data, but they often don't want to send proprietary info out to some public cloud. So Qualcomm is betting big that the future of AI needs these distributed, powerful, but really efficient chips, decentralizing things away from just relying on massive data centers.
Interesting. And the developer world is kind of reorganizing around this new reality too, right? GitHub introduced something called AI Agent HQ, a new platform just for developers working with AI.
Yeah, exactly. Its function is pretty straightforward, but actually critical, especially for enterprise developers. It's basically a central hub, a place for developers to easily build, test, and then deploy these autonomous coding agents. We're talking agents that can potentially self-correct code, manage software dependencies, maybe even handle debugging on their own.
Okay, that sounds like it tackles a massive pain point for developers. What makes this particular hub, this AI Agent HQ, so important?
I think it's the flexibility it offers. It integrates smoothly with GitHub Copilot, which tons of developers are already using daily, but it also supports using foundational models from competitors like OpenAI and Anthropic. So this move basically streamlines the whole workflow, helping developers go faster from just generating some code snippets to actually deploying a finished, integrated AI-powered product. GitHub is really positioning itself as the key infrastructure layer for this whole next generation of coding agents.
Okay, finally. We need to talk about a familiar face making a comeback, or maybe an infamous face. Microsoft unveiled Miko. And I admit I have mixed feelings when they describe it as clippy for the AI era.
Oh, yeah. Miko is a new AI assistant using generative AI, definitely. But the key difference, I think, is how systemically integrated it's meant to be. Miko is designed to guide users conversationally through Windows and Office apps, but at the operating system level.
Wait, hold on. What exactly does Miko do that Copilot doesn't already do? Is this just like a branding thing? Putting a new
Yeah.
face on it?
It's a fair question. So Copilot generally focuses on tasks inside specific apps, right? Helping you write in Word, analyze data in Excel. Miko seems designed to bridge the gaps between those apps and the Windows OS itself. It's built to automate tasks that cross different applications, explain maybe complex Windows 11 features, personalize your whole workflow across the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem. It really doubles down on Microsoft's strategy, make AI not just available, but this ever-present proactive guide deeply woven into everything you do on your PC.
Right. Okay, so we've covered trillions in potential value, 650 million users, massive platform plays, but we really need to pause here and acknowledge the human cost that's kind of buried under these huge numbers. We have to wrap this up with a pretty sobering statistic. A report suggesting, tens of thousands of layoffs attributed directly to AI adoption across various industries.
Yeah, and if you connect that to the bigger picture, this is really the core of that productivity paradox we're seeing unfold right now, in real time. You have executives citing automation, citing AI tools as reasons for cost cutting, and those workforce reductions, especially hitting middle management, specialized task roles, they are happening now.
And hang on, wasn't the promise that AI would immediately unlock these huge waves of efficiency? Why are analysts warning that lots of companies haven't actually seen those big efficiency gains yet?
Because, well, true productivity gains aren't usually instantaneous, are they? It requires fundamentally reorganizing how work gets done. It needs massive retraining efforts. Often you see resistance, maybe from middle management to adopting completely new systems. The immediate action laying off staff that looks good on a quarterly report, it's relatively easy. The hard work, re-engineering the entire business process to actually capitalize on what these AI tools can do, that takes real time and effort. So the job losses are happening now, but those promised productivity boosts, they're lagging behind. And that creates this really uneven, difficult economic situation, especially thinking about long-term employment.
Okay, so pulling it all together, what does this mean for us right now? The key takeaways seem pretty clear. We're seeing these absolutely unprecedented financial ambitions, that OpenAI trillion-dollar IPO talk. We're seeing total software integration, think Miko, built right into the Windows core.
Yeah.
And just intense platform competition. Google, Canva, GitHub, everyone fighting to be your foundational layer for work creativity coding.
Yeah, exactly. What it all really means is AI is shifting fast. It's moving from being just a tool you choose to use to becoming a direct agent that handles your money, your writing, your design, maybe even your code. It's like a complete ecosystem takeover. But that immediate measurable human cost, specifically that gap between the job losses happening now and the proven efficiency gains that are still maybe down the road, that's something we absolutely have to keep watching very, very closely.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Considering how rapidly AI is integrating across all these platforms, payments right in ChatGPT, Miko guiding you through Windows, which human-led task, maybe something you do every day, do you predict will be fully handed over to an autonomous AI agent within the next year? Think about the tasks you dread doing the most. All right, that was the latest look into the deep, deep trenches of tech news pulled out just for you. Thanks so much for joining the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.